Okay, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Are you going to start this?
Am I introducing this one? Okay.
Coming up, we look at the 2016 media pitch market.
We pick up on some news from Omnicom Group.
And we respond to a question from our 100th subscriber. Hello and welcome to IDCom's Media Snack, episode 11. So this week we are going to look ahead at what might be a very busy 2016 for media pitches.
That's right, we're going to pick up on some announcements made by Omnicom Group.
And finally, thanks to our appeal, we've hit 100 subscribers, and so therefore we're responding to a question from our 100th subscriber. All coming up on IDCom's Media Snack in just the time it takes to eat a sandwich. Okay, so first up, we've spoken a lot about how 2015 was an unprecedented year in terms of the volume and quantity of media pitches.
Yeah.
But then we were thinking, actually in February last year, none of these had been announced, and we were actually anticipating it might be quite a quiet year.
It was really quiet, that's right.
Yeah, and so a year on, we're just thinking, and lots of people are discussing, what it's going to be like this year, because the volume of the stuff that was going on last year, is that going to be reflected and repeated this year? And then the more we thought about it, we saw a great quote, didn't we, from Charles Courtier?
Charles Courtier, so Chief Executive of MEC, was in the trade press talking about this year's prediction in terms of the amount of reviews that would go to market.
Yep.
And he said that he didn't think that Mediapalooza was unique last year, and that was going to be the norm.
Yeah.
So perhaps it wouldn't be the big, significant, high-profile brands that we saw in 2015, but the amount of brands that do go to review may cumulatively have the same sort of power in terms of the marketplace.
And he specifically said this is the new normal, that this will continue, and that agencies should be bracing themselves for another busy year.
Yeah, if not busier actually, because perhaps the amount of reviews, the amount of advertisers that go to review may be larger.
Yeah. And so what are our thoughts then going into this year?
Well, I mean, we've made this prediction before. We think that there will be a second level, a second tier of advertisers that will go to review on the back of all of the value that perhaps was generated from the market leaders that went to review last year. Yeah. So we think that there is going to be a significant number of reviews this year, and most of those will already know. So similar to last year when February, the first quarter, was very, very quiet, and suddenly then it became crazy quarter 2 and quarter 3. Yeah. We think the same thing is happening. So we phrased it fatal February. This is the time when a lot of advertisers are busily meeting intermediaries or discussing with themselves the plans for going to review this year.
And most brands, in our experience, because we get very busy at this time of year.
We do.
Most brands, I guess, have already got an idea. If they're planning a review, if they've got an idea that they might actually pitch their media in 2016, they've pretty much decided to do that to an extent already. And so now it's a little bit cloak and dagger, isn't it? Because it's all very sensitive. We end up having lots of conversations in coffee shops and kind of off-premise. As people try to scope out the opportunity and define the parameters of a review that they might announce in April, May, June or something like that.
So there will be, media pitching is very cyclical. Most go to market in Q2 and Q3, so that they are concluded, in time either for the end of the summer or the end of the year. And so we are predicting that the next 4 or 5 weeks will be very, very busy in terms of announcements.
So then we typically see what Charles is referring to, which is probably another kind of big wave, many pitches going to market all at the same time. That creates another busy pitch market. The challenge last year was there was so much going on, and I think Charles acknowledged this, is that he said in the US that pitches had almost killed the agencies because they'd been stretched their resources so hard. With the same volume, all coming in a condensed period of a few months, really, that they all kind of get announced and all briefed. You know, if you're as a brand, if you're thinking about taking a pitching this year, how do you make sure that you've really got the focus of these agencies? Because they have limited resources, and they will tend to prioritise the ones that they either think...
Or they should do. They should prioritise. Absolutely.
Some just go and try and pitch everything.
The shotgun technique. But the ones that are most successful in our experience are the ones that are very precise and very focused in the pitches that they go for.
Yeah. And so you know, if somebody's watching and they're thinking about preparing for a pitch this year, what do you think are the focus points really in a busy market? What do you have to do to make that a really successful pitch?
I think there are 4 key points. The first is have an ambition for media. So understand the role that media plays in your business and the role that you want your media agency to play in your business moving forward. The second is be very, very clear as to how you will evaluate the competing agencies in the review process. So consider measurement and assessment of the agencies very, very clearly, and then be as transparent about how you will measure the agencies with those agencies. Yeah. The third is to make the briefing collateral, so the briefs that you share with the agencies, as high quality as you possibly can. Yeah. The level of your effort going into developing the briefs has a direct relation to the quality of the work that comes out from the agencies. And then the fourth point is process manage it really, really, really well.
Yeah. That's good. There's a lot of preparation in that. We love the Abraham Lincoln quote, which we use quite a lot, which says, if I had 6 hours to cut down a tree, I'd spend 4 hours sharpening my axe, which is quite aggressive, actually, isn't it? But the principle of that is, you know, the better the quality, the preparation, the better you can execute. Yeah. And so where we see media pitches fail, or perhaps not deliver the objectives or extract the right values that they're intended to, it's just simply because they either go too early or they go rush to market.
That's right.
And you can't necessarily get agencies really inspired and really doing good work without a really well thought out brief. So we'll see. I mean, as we say, we anticipate a really busy pitch year again for agencies this year.
Let's wait and see.
Let's go.
So the second topic we're going to cover today is Omnicom reported their Q4 results earlier this week. Their global revenues were down 1.2% to a cool 15.13 billion, so not too bad. Yep. But their organic growth was really healthy. So organic growth in the UK was 7%, Europe 3.4%. In fact, they showed organic growth, I think, in pretty much every region. Yeah. So kind of really healthy. But you've spotted something that was quite interesting in those figures.
Well, only that of the total, this is just organic growth that they've showed, and the agencies are obsessed with obviously showing organic revenue growth. A quarter of the total growth across the whole of the Omnicom Group, which is a big multidisciplinary group, a quarter of that came from programmatic media buying. Wow. Which just shows you what an amazing driver that is of agency revenues generally, but specifically here for Omnicom Group, is that's $45 million worth of revenue just in programmatic buying as a bump. You know? So you see that programmatic buying is still a massive revenue driver and growth driver for
it's only going to get
agencies.
Bigger, right?
Yeah, and we think will get bigger. Certainly in the next couple of years, we think so.
But what I also found particularly interesting about John Wren's discussion with the City was that he announced the launch of Omnicom's third global media network. Yeah. So to couple with the two that they already have, OMD and PhD, they are going to market with a third global network. Yeah.
And that was prompted by the P&G win in the US, but he's saying now it's a global proposition.
It will be a global proposition in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. So they've obviously got the infrastructure and the organisational piece together, allowing them swiftly to globalise what up until relatively recently was just a US-based operation, there to house the brilliant win that they achieved with P&G last year.
Yeah. So good. I mean, more change, shifting sands within agencies, new networks being created, groups restructuring, it just shows how adaptable and flexible actually these agency groups are.
And how
they never sit still.
And how dynamic the industry is at the moment. It's just brilliant.
It's good fun. Okay, last up this week. If you remember, last week we made a very heartfelt appeal to our viewers to help us smash through the 100 subscriber mark. Well, the good news is that we punched massively through that. I think we're at 104 now. We promised that the 100th subscriber would get to ask a question and then we would respond. So it gives us great pleasure to announce that the 100th subscriber was the fantastic Simon Peel at Adidas. Thank you, Simon. And he sent us the following question. With a greater focus on transparency and performance applied to agencies and agencies potentially responding, do you think clients' insourcing becomes as efficient and effective as it was a few years ago?
That's a great question, so thank you, Simon. But the thorny issue of transparency and the focus behind it, I think, is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
It's actually the in-house marketing teams and procurement teams from the advertiser side that have done such a brilliant job, I think, of bringing the transparency issue to the forefront and have made it such an important and critical issue that everybody's kind of talking about. Even in my Nike days, there was a groundswell of concern around transparency, but that has just accelerated to the point now where it has been brought to a head. And I think that the battle is only half won. So continued pressure from in-house marketing teams, in-house advertiser teams to drive greater transparency is the only way that we're going to move it forward.
Yeah. And then as with that pressure, as agencies become more accountable, and then marketers, perhaps like Simon and others, can have more control and have more confidence in those areas, then hopefully that then frees them up to not to stop obsessing or to stop to have to keep obsessing about areas like transparency and the compliance and the audit side of media, which dominates the debate and the conversation at the moment, and focus more on being a good partner to the brands.
Absolutely.
And driving brand growth and creating great brands, doing great work, driving growth for their businesses. And that's how they can be more valuable. In-house resource can be more valuable by supporting marketing in that way.
Well, the only way that in-house media teams can be a real strategic thought leader within their own organisations and use media as a real lever for growth is if they move beyond this whole murky discussion on transparency and frankly do what their companies want them to do from a media perspective.
Yeah. So great question, thank you, Simon.
Thank you,
if
Simon.
anyone else has got questions that you'd like us to address on future Media Snacks, please leave a little comment under this video. Okay, that's it for this week. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.
Have a good weekend.